like to welcome I'd like to welcome everyone to Southern University at New Orleans, which is known affectionately as SUNO, or as our chancellor identifies, the communiversity. So we'd like to extend to you a warm and passionate welcome. So Akwaba, the response is Mendazi. Mendazi. Okay. Reparations. Concept whose time has truly come. And that's why we're here. We're here to discuss the debt owed to the descendants of those enslaved persons brought to these shores, lo, these many centuries ago. My name is Clyde Robertson. I am the director for the Center of African and African American Studies at Southern University at New Orleans. And again, I offer my warmest and sincerest gratitude for your being here. And I thank the Creator for your safe arrival. I'd like to give and pay homage to Baba Shaka Zulu, who led the procession. On the dais are some extremely important people, and people who will be brought to you in a moment. In addition, there are other very important people in the audience who will address you tonight, and again discuss the all-important point, the reason why we've assembled, and that's reparations. Before I start, there are some recognitions that must be made. I must recognize two departments that are instrumental in organizing this affair. One is criminal justice, and Dr. Penny, please be recognized. The other is social work. Dr. Saison, please be recognized. I'd also like to ask all of our SUNO family to stand. Our SUNO family, administrators, faculty, students. Again, thank you all for coming. All of our guests from around the city, people with whom I've worked a great deal for a long time. Sister Nana Ntambu, Brother Carl Gelman, Brother Sekou Fella, and many, 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 Brother Muhammad, Brother Rashid. Thank you for coming. For our guests who are coming from afar, from as far away as Colorado, Missouri, New York, again, welcome. At this point, I'd like to bring to the podium the Master of Ceremony. This is a brother who in New Orleans needs no introduction. His reputation is as tall as he is. He has worked and toiled ever since I've known him, and I've been knowing him since high school. Before that. The brother about whom I speak is a brother who worked with us and for us in the realm of politics, in the realm of community organizing. I'm talking about none other than Brother Oliver Thomas.
First of all, let's give Dr. Robinson another hand, please. Also, the Chief Shaka Zulu and their drum group, give them a hand. And our band, Sullivan Dabney Jr. and the Music Jazz Band. On behalf of Susan Henry, our general manager, you want to just say hi?
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.
I'm glad I wear my long legs in public. It was an honor for WBOK to, I think, partner with probably one of the most important issues of our time. And Dr. Daniels, for you, Mr. Glover, our esteemed panel, someone asked me earlier, is this the right time and the right climate to do this again? No, y'all didn't hear me, yeah. Is this the right time? I don't know if you didn't hear me, feel me. Is this the right time and the right climate to do? Well, I always thought, when I'm doing bad is when I really need what you owe me. So what better time in the worst climate with the worst people? Huh? So Dr. Daniels and your 20, this is the right time and the best time for us to get what we've always deserved. Now the program is going to be as follows. Dr. Robinson, Doctor, are you coming back?
I can't.
Well, Dr. Robinson, I'm just following the program. Dr. Robinson will come back, and then he'll introduce Dr. Daniels, the president of the Institute for the 21st for the Black World 21st Century. And then after that, we're going to be followed by one of the top poets who's been recognized throughout the country, slam champion, one of the finest young men in our time, Michael Quest Moore. So please come as you call.
At this point, I'd like to bring to the stage the Chancellor, the second female Chancellor of Southern University at New Orleans, a young dynamic woman who is a product of Southern University at New Orleans and the public school system, McDonough 35 High School in the city of New Orleans. I'd like to bring to the podium at this moment Dr. Lisa Mims-Devison.
He forgot resident of the lower ninth ward. Good evening, everyone. Before I bring welcome on behalf of Southern University at New Orleans, I would be remiss if I did not recognize and acknowledge a true pioneer in the field of social work. And that is the one and only Millie M. Charles, for which we just finished building the Millie M. Charles School of Social Work. You know, they say give you your flowers while you're living. Dean Charles, we want to make sure that you truly know that you are not only loved by Southern University at New Orleans, but you are world renowned, and the world pays tribute to you. And although Dr. Robertson stepped on my part, I'm going to ask the faculty, staff, students, and the alumni of Southern University at New Orleans to stand one more time. Mr. Glover and distinguished guests, here at Southern University at New Orleans, we have embraced the motto that we are a team. Togetherness empowers all mechanisms. So on behalf of the team of Southern University at New Orleans, we welcome you to our home and excuse our construction. That's our progress. You know, currently there's a documentary out about historically black colleges and universities stated, "Tell them we are rising." So I want you on this day to know Southern University at New Orleans is still on the rise. So again, welcome to Southern University at New Orleans, and thank you for being a part of our team.
Thank you, Dr. Devison. At this point, we will bring the honorable, the most dynamic, Dr. Ron. Come on up to the most.
Hotel. Assalamu alaikum. Baragani. How y'all feeling out there? We said it's going to be a family occasion. It's going to be a family occasion? I know the air conditioner's up kind of hot. We're going to warm it up in here. All right? And I heard somebody got ready to say it, and we kind of chilled it down. Somebody said reparations, and somebody said reparations, reparations, reparations is an issue whose time has come. Give yourself a big round of applause. Great to be here. I'm going to be quick. Got a lot of acknowledgments to make. But first and foremost, I just want to also acknowledge at a peer level the fact that we have here a very distinguished and actually the global voice for the reparations movement, one of the great public intellectuals of our time. And I introduce him now because he is also an incredible educator. And you will be hearing him at Xavier on this coming Saturday as he delivers his keynote address. But he's an educator. And so we want to now also acknowledge him as an educator, because he be the president. They call it the vice chancellor down there, but he be the president of the University of the West Indies, all the way from Jamaica, I say. Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, take a bow. Let him see you. And of course, we want to thank Dr. Clyde Robinson. He's done any and everything. He's been super, absolutely super. Absolutely super. We started talking about doing this. We said, where are we going to do it? And Dr. V.P. Franklin was out there. He said, let's go talk to Clyde Robinson. Next thing we know, he was on the phone, grabbing us, twisting us, and his able assistant, Darlene Holmes. Let's give her some love, too. These things don't happen to a lot of people like Darlene. But we also want to just acknowledge the person who's going to be hosting us on this coming Saturday at Xavier University. Dr. Sarisi Olatunji is in the audience. Would you please just wave your hand so people can see you as well? As we said before, and quickly, I've been riding the chuck wagon too sometimes. Y'all been hearing me on the chuck wagon? I've been riding on the chuck wagon. Is Brother Perkins in the audience? Let him give me some love. The chuck wagon. I've been riding the chuck wagon and enjoying it too. Also, let me just go down my list. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody who I was supposed to acknowledge, because I'm getting old and I couldn't do that, all right? Well, we're here because, again, the occasion is about reparations. And, we are a people who survived, not only survived and thrived, Brother Calgama. Glad to see you up in here. I see some old freedom fighters up in here. I think I saw a whole bunch of folks up here I know. So we have a little reunion after the thing, right? But we survived a lot. And the reality is that it's always time. It always has been time for reparations. And one of the things that has inspired me about Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, by the time he gets finished speaking, you're angry that you have not been angry about the fact that our ancestors suffered, bled, and died, and we're acting like we ought not to do something about that. See, the reality is, if we never, ever get reparations, and we will, the reparations is in the striving. It is in the quest. It is in honoring our ancestors who suffered, bled, and died, not only on our behalf, but who built this country and built half of the world. And so we have to get paid, not only in terms of physical payment, but to heal ourselves as black people. And then to step out on the stage, as Dr. Maulana Kareem says, as free, proud, and productive people that we are. So that's what we're here to do, and one of the things that we're proud of as this has evolved is in the Caribbean. The heads of state, as we talked about on the radio in 2013, I guess it was, the 15 heads of state and presidents. Now, we some bad activists now. We can do some good stuff. But when heads of state step out and say, we're tired of the mess you have created, France, England, Holland, we're tired of the mess you created. Now, they're still somewhat dependent, but still they're saying, it doesn't matter. You're going to come clean up this mess. They voted to demand of the former colonial powers reparations for native genocide. They took a principled position on that question, and also African enslavement. And they created a CARICOM Reparations Commission, which is headed by Professor Sir Hilary Beckles. And they have created a 10-point program, and 12 of the 15 islands have commissions of their own. We say if they can do that, we here in the United States of America, you know, the fact that and COBRA has been out there struggling and has led us this far, and organizations that have been out here fighting, and can't we at least also create a national African American Reparations Commission? And we have done so. And we have a 10-point program, which you'll be listening to and hearing on this coming Saturday. So I just want to quickly introduce those persons who are on the commission who are here in the House. We have the current president or male co-chair of INCOBRA. He's a bad brother, and he dresses nice too. I've been trying to get some of his brother Cam Howard. Give him a big from Chicago. All the way from Detroit. And you heard her on the air. Both Cam was on there, and she was too. She has a radio show called Wake Up Detroit, and she's been waking up Detroit for a long time. Yes, she is. The former Detroit City Councilwoman, Reverend Joanne Watson. Please stand up again, Reverend Joanne. Let them see. Right here in New Orleans, you have the editor and publisher of the Journal of African American History. And I just want to be able to carry his bag. He just got back from 15 countries lecturing and all, you know, all that kind of stuff. I mean, he's been at the big universities. I'm just at a small one. But some days I'll be able to be like him. V.P. Franklin is one of our commissioners. You also heard her on the radio. She is nonstop. She is an energized. She's a bad sister. And y'all heard her on the air too. And she like tear it up. It's attorney Nkechi Taifa, veteran. Stand up, let them see you. Stand up, stand up, stand up. I don't know if she's in the house yet, but she gave a whole discussion about what's happening among Afro-descendants all over the hemisphere, and also particularly in Colombia. I don't know if she's got here yet, but if she's not, her name is Yvette Modesty. She's from Panama. She's a bad sister. Give it up for her anyway. She's on her way. She just walked in. Yvette Modesty. See, that's called, she bad. See how bad she's dressing? That's calculated. She just want to start, all right? And with her, by the way, is the Consul General from Venezuela. Poet, playwright, activist artist, Jesus Chuco Garcia. Give it up for him as well. We got some bad people up in here. All right? And Black America's leading political economist. And she's just been tearing it up on the airwaves. Right. She's given a justification for why we have not only reparations for enslavement, but all the other stuff they did. She's a bad sister. She's none other, and she takes no prisoners. I mean, she don't compromise. You know what I mean? She is none other than Dr. Julianne Malveaux. Pick her up. And we have two people who are coming, and on his way, he'll be here soon. He's a judge. Well, we have two people who are designated, who are coming on to the commission. One of them is coming directly here from the airport. He's out of Chicago. He's a Haitian-American brother, and his name is Judge Lionel Jean-Baptiste. You'll be sure to give him a bow. And finally, also joining us, who'll be joining the commission with the Reparations Unity Program, a United Front out of Los Angeles, veteran freedom fighter. Give it up for Dr. David Horn. Dr. Horn, would you please stand and be acknowledged? Dr. David Horn. Now, she's not here yet, but on Saturday, the president of the Black Psychiatrists of America, Nana Patricia Newton, will be here as well. She's not here, but give her some love anyway. So that is our commission. And so I now turn it back over to our illustrious moderator to continue the program. I'll be back later to do James Brown.
Give Dr. Daniels another hand. Dr. Daniels was acknowledging everyone else. We really didn't do justice to him and his commitment, whether it's on public radio or national news. He's one of the leading voices for justice and for the rights of black people in America today. Well, our introduction didn't give him justice. New Orleans needs to know he's also honorary New Orleanian, you heard? Whether it was before Katrina or during Katrina, if we had followed Dr. Daniels' plan for rebuilding, Central City would be an historic African-American community.
Hello, come on.
If we had followed Dr. Daniels' plan for rebuilding, the lower ninth, that ninth ward for you proper people, I know it's ninth, but I'm from the lower ninth ward, you heard? If we had followed Dr. Daniels' plan for recovery, the lower ninth ward would still be one of the most prominent African-American communities for working class people in America. And his work with the African-American Leadership Project, and his work advocating to Congress for the funds that come to our community. So, brother, you are acknowledging everybody else, but we acknowledging we love you. Brother Michael Questmore, make your way to the podium, please. Brother Moore, give him a hand as he comes.
Lafayette, good evening, family. I want to share a couple of words that I hope can help set the tone and stimulate the conversation tonight. Some you might feel, some might hurt. If it hurts, say ouch. If you feel it, say church, say ashe, say synagogue, say whatever you feel, and let me know you're with me. So, I'm touring the Texas state capitol, right? My small brown body cast against the canvas of tall white coliseums and things is reaching back centuries. I'm dwarfing in the bleached shadows of their history. With small brown bodies like mine, with but minor details in a portrait of American history manifest only in the margins, is footnotes on the pages of recorded history, but right now, my thoughts are of Brianna. Brianna of light Latina hue and American college girl humor. She is a walking library of white supremacist mythology trapped in a mausoleum of mestizo-skinned Brianna. Knowledgeable tour guide who just walked me and some 30 visitors through the pristine halls of the state capitol. The jokes, they glint off of her tongue with irony. Her commentary, it clashes with her culture as she speaks of Texas history in a possessive. We were defeated in the Battle of the Alamo in 1836, she says. We rallied back 6 weeks later and won the Battle of San Jacinto, thereby founding the great state of Texas. She continues. And I keep trying to figure out how she manages to fit all her light brown me inside of all that western white we. How she can so easily mix memories of moccasin shoe mamas beneath the steel-toed stairs of Lone Star boots now walking across the marble floors of her oppressor's history as she speaks. There's a festival going on the front lawn of the Capitol. Her voice struggles to be heard above the booming bass lines of reggae tone rhythms blaring from the speakers outside. And I can't help but wonder if the cognitive dissonance inside her head doesn't blare just as loudly. There are women, many of them of Brianna's hue, dancing to her people's music. I think they're doing Zumba or the Macarena, or some English words fail to do justice. And I'm struggling to see how she fails to see the injustice in the story she's been paid to propagate. And can she hear her ancestors' rebuttal thumping through the drums as they echo through the halls of the Texas state capitol? Brianna, can you hear your ancestors calling? At the end of the tour, an elderly white woman asked Brianna, "What does the word Texas mean?" And she quickly replies, "It's a Caddo Indian word for friendship." And I immediately want to look up the word friendship and see if there's anything I missed. Perhaps there are etymological references to blood-splattered chieftains and trails of tears. Maybe these are key ingredients to lifelong bonds and I'm the oblivious one. Or maybe Texas, like Charlottesville, like Louisiana, like America, is just a really messed up friend. The kind of vice grips your bones and its handshake until your bones are ground to dust and the remains are left to mix with the blood and sweat of capital gains to form the watered down colors that they use to paint the monuments to their greatness. They'll shade you into their shadows, etch your name into the edges of their borders as footnotes. Loser of the battle, vanquished foe, turn mascot, misguided tour guide through the halls of another man's history. Never its foundation is keeper of this land before a hostile takeover is blood rights to this ground before oil rape Texas. If you are friendship, then what do I call my enemies? Can I share just one more piece with you? In the spirit of reparations, in the spirit of right now, for our brothers and sisters in Libya, for our brothers and sisters enslaved the world over, for our ancestors. When they came for me, I was all flailing limbs, bulging eyes, staring through midnight black, with shaky fingers, moistened palms, with trembling teeth, mumbling 23rd Psalms. Yea, though I spoke my mother's mantras, I found no peace in the valley that my hunters crafted for me. My sweaty brow, a furrowed forest, above awestruck eyes, white as moonlight, I ran scared. Squirrely tremors in darkness, born of king's blood, a lion's heart reduced to conniving rats scurrying through throes of survival, stripped of claws and fang, stripped of mane and pride. My cubs sold at master's whim, my growth at the limits of master's whip, my humanity blocked on stages of human auction when they came for me. I was not surprised. I have known nothing other than quick footfalls, it bang of firing metal, shriek shrill, it crack of leather lash, swift silence, it snap of dangling rope. I have never known still. I have only known run, post-racial America. A children's story. We need to have a conversation about race.
Yeah.
Turns page. We need to have a conversation about race. Turns page. We need to have a conversation about race. Turns page. I don't think y'all heard me. I said, we need to have a conversation about pain and gun smoke and blood. Turns page. We need to have a bang, bang, and gun smoke and blood and blood. Turns page. But we bang, 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 and gun smoke and blood and blood and blood and blood and turns page. America. If my name is part your name, so much so, in fact, that you could fit me inside you. If I am Eric, a 6 foot tall, 300-pound brown man, skin Mississippi mud, voice Italian accented as any New York native, does my perfect blend of melting pot miscegenation not garner enough respect for you to not choke me to death in broad daylight, to not matador your manic nightmares of me out of plain view if I am Sean, with wedding bells ringing in my very near future? Will it buy me enough time for you to not permanently alter my chances at a happily ever after if I am Michael, as a messenger of God, when my message is muted by the bullets of a white cop before it ever gets the chance to mature? Does anyone hear the body drop, or does it just rot like a postmodern dream deferred into a blur of concrete? And what else is new? If I am Oscar, worthy of the main stage of life, will it grant me a nomination of human, of son, of father, of worthy of next breath and a second chance to kiss my wife and lay my daughter down in bed at night without you puppeteering her nightmares for years to come? Do you sleep well at night, knowing that my mother never will? Do you rest peacefully, knowing that you denied me the chance to do anything but America? What dark phantoms creep in the underbelly of your dreams, huh? What ocean of skeletons tap dance around your bed at night? What terror you dress black bodies in? Do we all turn to bullseyes under your scope? How rigid must be my walk? How docile the smile and timid the eyes to not bore your bloodthirst and jostle your murderous knee-jerk. How articulate must be my speech to match the diction of a genocidal derelict. What you gonna teach my kids, America? About grit, about pull yourself up by your bootstraps when you pulled your empire out of the ashes and dust of bloody black bodies for centuries. What you gonna teach me about nonviolence, about turning the other cheek? Well, with all that blood plastered to your hands and teeth, you owed yourself a national state of emergency a long time ago. But who is to save you? When it is the long arms of your own law that strangle your lifespan shorter every day, that make ritual sacrifice of your own citizens every day. Where go these black bodies that your law leaves lifeless? To what god of fear? To what angry gnashing teeth mouth of hell-born fury? America, if my name is part your name, you are a murder of your own tongue, your teeth, the jagged-edged knife devouring your speech, your truth, a blood-soaked venom your children choke on. You are a sadomasochistic suicide letter, a death wish, feeding on itself. You cannot cut off your round nose, despite your pale face cannot amputate the Africa from your American body. We will haunt you like phantom limb, will be the missing blues in a rock you can no longer call blood from. We who are born to bronze under the warm eye of sun, deemed obscene if we don't bleach our black to oblivion. We, a rhythmic tongue, who dance circles around your dead end linear narrative of murder, death, kill, a perpetual war and rumors thereof. We, who have always been there to serve your whims, America, to quench your bloodthirst and quell the hunger pains in your beastly belly while tap dancing across your fangs only to find lonely solace in your cavernous hearts, an amphitheater of the depraved, waiting to feast on our brown skins. We will no longer dance for you, nor sing your song of death. What will become of you once the minstrel leaves the theater, when you are left bereft of black mammies and pickaninnies to pluck the fear and boredom from your cash-crop craniums? America, if my name is part your name, you are a continent of cacophonous consonants who will collapse in my absence. Once you vanquish the vowels, we will howl in the wind, reform ourselves nebulous, rain ourselves anew to fertilize the tomorrows that our earth incubates for us. Wade in the waters of her womb to be reborn in the wake of your absence, but we will no longer try to fit ourselves inside of you, America. You can spell out your death sentence alone.
We need to realize we have some wonderful young people on this planet. We need to realize we need to either embrace them or get out of their way. Join me in welcoming to the stage the president of the France Fanon Foundation, all the way from Paris, France, Muriel Fanon Mendez. Join me in welcoming to the stage the president of the France Fanon Foundation, all the way from Paris, France, Muriel France Mendez.
Good evening. Bonsoir. Ça vous fait? Ça vous fait? Hilary. Oula? Okay, good. I'm coming from France, that's true, but the France Fanon Foundation is not based in France. It is an international foundation. And we are waiting to have the possibility to base the France Fanon Foundation in a country where there is a reason to base the foundation is, not in Europe. That's why we are trying to find the best way in Africa or in Latin America. We don't know yet, but we have to work on that. And if there is a France Fanon Foundation, it's just because there is a need for that. The work began by our ancestor as a Nkrumah. It's a pity Samia was not able to join us, but as a Nkrumah, Lumumba, who else? Sankara and others, and Fanon, in different way, forget liberation from colonialism. all these people got liberation, but not emancipation. And what we try to do with reparation, to ask a reparation, is to end the process of liberation through emancipation. And the reparation is one of the steps for that. And it is really important to work on reparation issue, and I thank all the people who organize this event and all these people very involved on the issue of reparation, because believe me, it's really sometimes a nightmare, as it is as so many people are opposed to the process of reparation for different reasons, but very bad reasons. And we need to work on that for certain reasons. What's happened in Libya, it is exactly what we try to demonstrate. Our society here in US or in Europe, in Latin America, in Asia, are still lead or guided by the ideology of domination and of colonialism. And if we think seriously, the migrants now are the new slaves of the world. And we really, what happened, it's just to show how the ideology of white supremacy, the ideology of the race and the young, thank you to mention race, the ideology of the hierarchization of humanity is still implemented in the mind of the people. And to ask a reparation is to organize a rupture with this ideology and to try to build a new humanity, because the humanity right now is not human. It's not a humanity. It's just the will of some people to continue to dominate the world. And in this sense, they organize the humanity in very specific characterization. One hand, there is a dominant, and they have the status of being. And in other hands, there is the dominated people with the statute of non-being. And among the non-beings, there is people, there are more non-beings than others. And Afro-descent, Africans, are one of the most targeted people. And the cynicism of the dominant people is they are able to issue some very important universal declaration or convention against racism or whatever, or even to create a working group for people of African descent. And during these 6 years, I was a member of this working group at the UN. And I don't know if you know, but there is an international decade for people of African descent. Who knows there is an international decade? Who knows? Okay, you see? Since 3 years, there is an international decade for people of African descent, and it is still invisible. And it is exactly what I want to prove. It is the invisibility, how the invisibility is working against African people and people of African descent. That is why, if we want liberation, if we want emancipation, if we want reparation, we don't have to wait this happen from the others. Right. We have to do ourselves. We have to organize ourselves. And the reparation is one of the steps we have to take. To take reparation is to fight against invisibility. It's also to work on the concept of humanity. Who is human and why you are considered as not human? Who decides that? Is not human rights. It's just a play. It's just a game with human rights, and we cannot accept that. It is also for the African people, for the CARICOM country, for the Latin American country, and even here in US, and even in France, where there is still until now colonial possession as Martinique, Guadeloupe, Réunion, Madagascar, Mayotte, and others. It is also to reverse the policy, the policy of domination, political policy of domination towards this country, and to repair on political level. And also, it is very important to get reparation for the redistribution of land, because the people are deprived of their land. They are working on their land since years and years and centuries, because our ancestors, our father, grandfather, grandfather were working on this land. And until now, if I took the example in Martinique, where I'm coming from, and in Guadeloupe, where we have a legal case against France on the issue of land, the land is not belongs to those who cultivate, take care of the land, but it is still under the, between the hand of the descendant of owner of sorry, of master of slave. And we try, for the example, we try in Guadeloupe, we have a case in 3 years against the French state, and what the state answered to us, oh, but it's not important. Enslavement is ended. No one now is enslaved. Therefore, you don't need to open this file. And we told them we need to open this file for 2 reasons. One, the reason it is a sovereignty for these people. It is a question of sovereignty, and question of sovereignty also, food sovereignty. And also we need to open that because until now we live in a society unequal, based on inequality. Even if you say there is some document, some convention, it's not true. The African descent are targeted, mass incarceration, profiling, racial profiling, and killing, and mass imprisonment, etc., etc., etc. That's why it is so important to ask for reparation, to claim for reparation, to be stand up, and to stop to be victimized and victim. We need to become agent of transformation, of social transformation. Reparation is the way to do that. That's why, please, be involved in the reparation movement. It is so important. Thank you.
Please join me also to bring greetings. And we have a very lengthy program, so we're going to try to get to our main speaker as quickly as possible. One of the top human rights activists in the world today, all the way from Cali, Colombia, Sister Esther Olugari. Welcome to the stage.
Greetings. And good evening. Thank you, Ron, and thank you to all the organizers for inviting us. I'm here together with my colleague Elmer Quiñones from Colombia as well. Who is a renowned human rights activist and member of the Black movement in Colombia. And we bring solidarity, messages of solidarity from the Black movement in Colombia. You may be aware that a year ago the Colombian government signed a peace agreement with the FARC, ending a 60-year internal armed conflict. A conflict that has led to the forced internal displacement of 7 million people, hundreds of thousands of people disappeared, thousands of people assassinated. But what you may not be aware is that a majority or large numbers of those victims of the armed conflict are Afro-descendant and indigenous peoples, particularly in the Pacific coast region of Colombia. So Afro-descendant people in Colombia have been and are continuing to face a humanitarian crisis. Despite the peace process, which is well underway, the violence and the conflict is continuing in the Pacific region. People are still being displaced. Community leaders who are trying to protect the ancestral territories of Black communities are being threatened, and many have been assassinated even in the last few weeks and months. So we want to really bring attention and call out the risks and the potential risks that the peace agreement may also bring to the territories of Black communities in Colombia through land reform programs and other programs that are taking place. We fear, or the Black community fears, that those may impact on those territories, increasing displacement or continuing that process of displacement. And the community leaders, particularly, that are calling out what's happening are those that are receiving threats and being assassinated. The move for reparations, then, in Colombia aims to bring links, show the links between damages and violations of and crimes against humanity in Colombia in the framework of the armed conflict, and with links to enslavement and colonization in Colombia. And we feel that the transitional justice that is happening in the country is a legal and a political opportunity to call for reparations, to call for historic reparations, by showing the continuity of violence, 400, 500 years of violence against Black bodies, which begins with the trafficking of Africans to the territory, their enslavement, and then in independent Colombia, marginalization, racism, victimization and violence in the context of war, and now continued victimization and violence in the context of neoliberal development projects, which are continuing to displace Black communities. So the reparations movement wants to show that continuity, and in the framework of transitional justice, call attention to historic as well as contemporary, we can say, reparations. So we are here to bring messages of solidarity and congratulations and solidarity to the work that is happening here with the National African American Reparations Commission and all the other organizations that are working on reparations around the world, but also to call for your support and your help, because we need to visibilize the humanitarian crisis that's happening in Colombia and the genocide against Black communities. So we hope that over the next few days as well, we can really go into more depth about the situation in Colombia and exchange and build together and get your solidarity as well. Thank you.
Sister Esther Ogulari. I don't know if Dara Cooper is one of the leaders of the Movement for Black Lives. I don't think she's here. Dara, are you here? If not, the next person to bring greetings is someone who grew up reading her writings, watching her on Nightline or Meet the Press, setting Tech Topple and broke straight. Probably one of the leading intellectuals and top social scientists for Black folk anywhere in the world, Dr. Julianne Malveaux.
Greetings all. I am humbled and honored to be here. Oliver, I'm mad at you. You didn't let me come on your radio show. Everybody else at WVOK wanted me, but not you. It wasn't you. It wasn't her. It was you. I'm gonna fix you. But I love this brother. I love New Orleans. With the last name, you know, I got some roots here. So it's happy to be here. Sister Chancellor, always a pleasure. My brother, thank you for your work over the years and for that which you do. And I'm just really delighted to be here. My fellow commissioners have been acknowledged, and I think Brother Daniels asked me to speak on behalf of the commission. I want to put have a couple minutes. I see Oliver starts so you just watching. You can sit at the edge of his chair like it's time for you to finish talking. You better sit down, dude. Now, I'm gonna be out of time. my program, so I'm not gonna do all that, but I was watching it back and he starts weaving and bobbing and like, dude. But listen, this is time for reparations, not time, but overtime. And if we look at the economic condition of black people right now, we understand that you see, I live with the devil. I live downtown DC. I could walk to the White House. I live with the devil. I don't even call it the White House anymore. I call it the People's House. Too much white going on right now, so let's just call it the People's House. Yeah. But what we know in terms of this economy is that it is being upended. This man wants to give corporations a permanent tax cut, give us a temporary tax cut, some of us, not all of us. It wants to cut the social service structure. My sister Chancellor, Brother Franklin, what they're doing to higher education is criminal. In terms of talking about taxing endowments, in terms of talking about you can't write off the interest anymore for your student loans, in terms of talking about you can't even write off your tuition, this is cray-cray. I have a much more erudite word for it, but let's just call it cray-cray, because that's what it is. But here's the point. This is not the first time we've been attacked. We have to think about that word Sankofa. Go back and get it. Go back and get it. How is it that we had 130 black banks in the 19th century, and now we're down to 21? How is it that we had millions of acres, and we now have a fraction, less than 10% of the acreage that we once had? How is it that they have fewer than 10 black women enshrined in our nation's statuary? Fewer than 10 of us. So what do our daughters, our sisters, our nieces see when we say, ain't I a woman? Wow. You know, and our brothers, just a few, about 20 of them. But if you're a white boy on a white horse with a gun, which means you probably shoot black people, there's a statue for you in every city in America. So when we talk about repair, we're not only talking about give me my money, we're talking about repairing our image. We're talking about repairing the ways that we deal, the way we move in the world, repairing our sanity. Because see, if you live with the devil, I admit, I take my little pill every day, you know? Now, I'm exaggerating, but some of us need to take one. You know, if you live with the devil, you know that you are constantly being attacked. Our brother John Congress, we're not going to talk uncomfortable. We're going to say this, though. Nobody has the temerity, ought not to demand anything from him until that white boy in the Senate does the same thing. You know, because I mean, we have to start saying we want equal treatment. But some of us so scared. I mean, I don't know if y'all saw little Tim Scott on TV, Bojangling for 45. Oh yeah, this tax gonna help you out. He lied. He lied. The roots of much of this is economic, but it's not just economic. It is about the way public policy has conspired to take our people, take what belongs to us away from us. Public policy has conspired to ensure that our banks have not survived. I'm gonna sit down all of a sudden, we'll start rocking. Before I sit down, let me tell you, I will just tell you very briefly about a woman named Maggie Lena Walker. And I must tell you about Maggie Lena because she was the child of enslaved people. There you go. She started Penny Savings Bank in New Orleans. Not in New Orleans, forgive me, in Richmond, Virginia. See, I think I live here, so I'm just gonna make everything New Orleans. But Richmond, Virginia, in 1902, Penny Savings Bank. The bank didn't go out of business until 2008. This one was so darn brilliant that in the middle of the Depression, when banks were closing, white folks were jumping out of windows because they didn't have nothing. Jumping out of windows, fools. I mean, you know, I always tell people, they say people kill themselves because they bankrupt and say, well, black people. You know? I mean, but they call you say, she here, she owes money on a MasterCard. She dead, click. You know? That's how you finish that one. But Maggie Lena's bank stayed around until 2008. She merged 3 failing banks during the Depression to find Consolidated Savings Bank. Then they started changing the ratios, so the bank was in trouble 3 or 4 times. You know, the Fed started changing what the banking ratios were. This was conspiracy to get rid of us. And we see these conspiracies every single day. And we are just not going to put up with it. And your sister Fanon talked about the land. One of the things I have to say is props to our folks here in New Orleans for preserving our legacy. At Tulane, the Amistad Research Center has records of the Emergency Land Fund, which documented our loss of land. Now, I'm not going to keep on talking because Oliver rocking now. And you see him, he's rocking, and it's all good, Oliver. But to just drop a little knowledge, we are grateful that our movement is continuing. But this is a San Kofa movement. It's going back. Because as David Walker's appeal, we talk about 18-something. He talked about giving us back ours. Queen Mother Moore, we can go down the list of the number of people who have said it is time for us to have ours. So this is not a movement that's new. Brother Daniels with his brilliance, my sister in the back, I love my girl from Detroit, Joanne Watson. You know, she's talked about all these things in Kichi and the group. So this is not a new movement. But now it is our movement. We have to use that orange orangutan. I ain't supposed to call him that. Somebody wrote me a letter. They said not to call him that because orangutans are nice animals. And they smart. But in any case, we have to use this movement of our disempowerment to now talk about what belongs to us, because we're going to go back and get it. It's our reparations. Reparations win? No. Reparations win? No. Thank you, Amandla.
Yeah. Well, Chief Shaka Zulu and his group are making their way. Why don't we hear and see more of people like Dr. Malveaux, Danny Glover, Ron Day? Remember back when you would turn on these national shows, you would see her giving her commentary? When you would turn the channel and you would see Ron Daniels? Well, we're being censored today. Those people who are giving strong black voices, with a strong black message, you don't see Minister Farrakhan anymore. You don't see anybody that's unapologetically black talking about repairing our community. I wonder why. I wonder why. Dr. Malveaux, thank you very much. Where is Chief Shaka? They're supposed to be entertaining us right now. Somebody play a tune on our second line, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, come on.
Oh, the lies of, you don't know nothing about that. All the way from the 9. Keep moving forward. Now we're going to have Miss Helena Francis, is a psychologist and criminal justice student at Southern University, to introduce our guest speaker, Danny Glover. As she makes her way, where is Miss Francis? Okay, and just so you guys know, Danny Glover has been a friend of New Orleans for an extremely long time. Whether it's Mardi Gras, not long ago, the fight for workers' rights and the fight for 15. He was one of our speakers. After Katrina at the Dryades YMCA and fighting for folks to come back from Central City, Danny Glover doesn't need any pass to come to New Orleans. He's our homeboy too. That's right.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Daniel LeBron Glover was born July 22nd, 1946 in San Francisco to James and Carrie Glover. Both parents were postal workers, and they were both equal rights activists working with the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Mr. Glover graduated from the prestigious San Francisco State University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in economics. Mr. Glover says that it was witnessing the defining relationship that many young people had with their community during the early stages of the civil rights movement of the 60s that gave him another sense of understanding on how he would embrace that historic moment. He was 14 or 15 years old at the time, and observing both the members of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and the members of the Congress of Racial Equality. The fire that his parents had lit in him early on burned full force as Mr. Glover soon found himself on the front lines of the movement for justice and equality. Born into the role of activist, Mr. Glover has been quoted saying, "I am who I am because of my parents, and particularly my father." Mr. Glover played a crucial role in the Black Student Union during his years at San Francisco State. It was November of 1968 that the students of San Francisco State University's Black Student Union, along with the members of the Third World Liberation Front, organized the longest student strike in the United States history. Mr. Glover fought tirelessly alongside fellow students, faculty, and community activists, demanding equal access to public higher education, more senior faculty of color, and a new curriculum that would embrace the history and culture of all people, including ethnic minorities. After 5 months, their demands were met, resulting in an expansion of the Black Studies Department and the creation of a School of Ethnic Studies. Mr. Glover went on to work with the Black Panther Party. He helped them to organize their newspaper while volunteering for their free breakfast for children program. While living on a political commune for the year following college, Mr. Glover was heavily involved in the movement against the Vietnam War. It was also during this time that Mr. Glover began to throw his support behind the struggles against colonialism and racism in Africa. On the home front, Mr. Glover has long crusaded for greater equality and access to education. I was captivated as I began to research Mr. Glover for this project. You see, we all know the lethal weapon, Danny Glover, but I wanted to know about the brother's work as a humanitarian. I wanted to know how he went from the silver screen in The Color Purple to lending his celebrity to the pursuit of 40 acres and a mule for his people, which has proven to be more elusive for us than the one that blackened Harpo's eye in The Color Purple. I found that Mr. Glover's first career was in public service, where he conducted research and served as an evaluator for the San Francisco Model Cities program, which was an anti-poverty program born of President Johnson's War on Poverty. He left that job to study acting at the Black Actors Workshop, where he acted in plays like Macbeth and Suicide in B-flat. However, it was his remarkable performance in Athol Fugard's The Blood Knot that earned him his fame as a stage actor. The Blood Knot is a story of two half-brothers living in South Africa, one dark-skinned and one light. They lived together for many unhappy years, needing each other, but unable to bridge the gap brought about by their respective skin tones. Next, he performed Master Harold and the Boys, which was another play by the same famous South African author. His ease in showing versatility as an actor played out on the big screen in portrayals ranging from the sweet-natured cotton farmer in Places of the Heart, to a corrupt cop in Witness, to his poignantly painful portrayal of the iconic abusive husband, Mr., to Whoopi Goldberg's Ceiling. A closer look at Danny Glover's 30 years of commanding performances on television, on stage, and on the big screen reveals an underlying conflict between his family and doing what he thinks is the right thing during apartheid. Then he gave us Freedom Song, a film that deals with issues of race and oppression. Next was the documentary feature film, The People Speak, which was based on Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States. His production company has recently released 3 Palestinian films and a movie about Argentina during the colonial period. They produced This Changes Everything, which is Naomi Klein's film on climate change. He's released a documentary on America's war on drugs entitled The House I Live In, and he has also released the Black Power Mixtape, a documentary about the struggles and growth of activism in the civil rights movement. Mr. Glover has dedicated his life to spreading awareness. From his youth as a paperboy in San Francisco to his successes with activism in college, Mr. Glover dispersed knowledge. Always aspiring to be more than an actor, Mr. Glover said that his first responsibility is that of being a citizen. His message: we have responsibilities as humans. If we see certain things, we have to say something. Mr. Glover says that Lethal Weapon, Predator 2, Shooter, The Color Purple, all of those were a past life. What I do today and tomorrow, that's what matters, what we do in the moment. So before I cut into any more of Mr. Glover's time, let me leave you guys with this. We must understand that this is a critical time for us as citizens. This is a critical time for us to be involved. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Danny Glover, citizen, activist, and humanitarian.
Good evening. The thing about being, as you get older, the little moments that crystallize in your mind about how you got to where you were. And being a paper boy was an important part of that. Every morning that I got up to look at my papers at 4:30 in the morning, which I still have a habit of getting up at 4:30 in the morning, I would look through the paper at 14, 15 years old, and I was eager to find out what was happening in Mississippi with CORE or with SNCC, eager to read the paper before I delivered them. The little small things, there's a child finds, a child growing into and maturing finds a way of connecting with the world and finding ways, new ways, and that connection of validating himself as well. And I'm thankful for that. I am, to use Dr. Malveaux's words, I am just so proud and also so humbled to be in front of you. As I stand here and watch upon this esteemed audience of alumni of the university here in New Orleans, Southern University of New Orleans, I also see the faces of many men and women who've played an extraordinary role in pushing us forward in our ideas and creating the space for this incredible discussion about reparation, reparatory justice. And we all become a part of, and we've all deemed it necessary, and not only its time has come, also its time has come long before this particular moment. I think about, when I think about this moment, I'm reflecting on Mary Brown. And I had the distinct opportunity of meeting Mary Brown when I was between the ages of 6 months old and 3.5 years old. She died when I was 4 years old. She was my maternal grandfather's mother. She was born in 1853. So I'm old enough, born in 1946, to have some sort of reference point to begin my life. And Mary Brown was that reference point. And as I spent that time, even born and raised in San Francisco, spent those early years of nurturing on that farm in Georgia, that farm near Augusta, Georgia. It's in little Jefferson County, Rennes, Louisville, Georgia. I'm always reminded of that wiry woman that I saw from time to time that has lodged this way and continues to lodge this way in every memory that I have. It becomes some point at time the reason why I get up in the morning. To know that she laid this foundation and this groundwork for not only my grandfather, one of the extraordinary farmers, owned 150 acres, which I still have in rural Georgia, and also for my mother, in a sense, who graduated from Payne College in 1942 because she did not pick cotton in September. She went to school in September. It changed and shifted my life and the whole paradigm, the whole narrative in which I've lived. And I think about that in this particular moment, knowing that, and sometimes we have to reflect on the history of what is happening to us. I didn't know when I would walk by as a child growing up, walk by in downtown Louisville, the slave auction block is still there. And it has had different various other kind of usage over that period of time. But Louisville, Georgia, soon after the ratification of the Constitution in 1789, became really the epicenter of the expansion of slavery. When 350 million acres of land were sold to New York land speculators in 1796, that land became part of Mississippi and Alabama. It's called the Yazoo Fraud, in which the Supreme Court upheld the first initiation, the first agreement made by the Georgia State Legislature in about 1803. And the mergence of these two things, one, on the one hand, the Yazoo fraud, and also the victory of Haitian slaves against Napoleon's army in 1803, expanded this amazing expansion of slavery, in the sense, because we always think of slavery at some point in time as one singular moment where we see the antebellum encampments and plantations and everything else, but there was an expansion for that, which brought to this country the first tool, the first step in the Industrial Revolution was cotton, which made this country, by 1840, 1845, the richest country economically in the world, on the backs of us, purely on the backs of us. And the various ways in which that moment is orchestrated that brought it to this particular point was by the brutality, and mainly the murder, and all the other things that we associate with slavery beyond that, and the emotional scar. And when I think about that woman, Mary Brown, born in 1853, and when she, even though she was emancipated, quote unquote, by 1863, at the same time that she had to live the rest of her life with that memory, and not only the memory of that, but also the memory of Jim Crow as well, after slavery, in a sense. And we talk about, why do we talk about that? Why do we need desperately to have reparations right at the head of any agenda that we talk about in this country and in the world, in the region. Draymond Green, I'd like to talk about Draymond Green. Draymond Green said something just recently in reference to Mark Cuban. And he said, Mark Cuban doesn't know how I feel about Charlotte, but it's impossible to make what that makes me feel. Here's a modern man, a man who has used his skills as a basketball player and become not only very vocal, but very talented as well. He doesn't know what I feel when a black man, a young black boy, is shot down and murdered on the street by police. He doesn't know, he can't relate to that. And when we always think about that, if we go back in our life and use that and talk about what we really feel inside, how we feel, and how we incredibly move toward beyond how we feel to take action in our life every day, also the call for reparations. I want to applaud my friend, is Chucho here? I thought I saw Chucho, who's right here, my great friend Chucho from Venezuela. We worked extensively with him and with the Venezuelan Afro-descendants organizations in Venezuela. And my young sister here, my sister Esther, who we were proud to be with, and she organized a conference around Afro-descendants in Colombia, in Cali, last year as well. And we see that these voices are very important and critical voices, and they're voices coming from young people too. So this is not Ron Daniels and us OGs like me talking about that, and the other OGs, whether they acknowledge or not, we're talking about reparations, but we're talking about young people, young scholars. These are scholars. So Hillary Beckles, he's young too, and after that, these are scholars who put together and who basically then look at this 10-point program and talk about the issues that are relevant. And each one of those things that we identify, whether it's in Colombia, whether it's in the Caribbean, everything is relative to these conditions created by slavery and the aftermath of slavery, and continue to in some sense, destabilize our sense of building our community and the sense of who we are as well. Those are the things that we have to talk about. Ron Daniels, my brother here, there have been many moments when I want to choke him, but it's all right, it's good. But he knows I love him here. Had the opportunity for me to come here and be with you. And all that it does is I come to New Orleans again, once again. I was here, I remember before Katrina, when we were talking about, with the Algebra Project, we were talking about quality education as a civil rights. an idea, and on a national platform talking about what we said. It's not the Bible culture, not sharecropper education, but quality education is the civil rights here right in New Orleans. And certainly, and people, if you know that we talk about New Orleans was the first had the first teachers organization organized teachers in the Deep South. Yes. Ostensibly to work for better pay and working conditions for African American teachers and everything. So New Orleans is not only the home of the things that we know about, blues, jazz, everything else, but it's also the home of people getting up and taking action and continue to take action before and post Katrina and everything else. So we're here. We can talk about, as most people fascinated what Donald Trump is doing every day and every moment and every time he tweets and everything. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for this guy. We know the work that we have to do. We know that we have to get up here and beyond that, you know, because they may be Twitter accounts now, but before there were other vestiges of that, those Twitter accounts in every way. It's in the face of Donald Trump, who is a manifestation of something, disenfranchisement of people of color, in particular of African descent. So we know that. So we have to do our work. And when we hit here, as I see it, look over this, from alumni to participants in this conference, we have the will. My sister Marielle Fanon, the words of her great father inspired us for the last 60 years or so, 50 years, at least for me, when I first read Wretched of the Earth in 1967 and changed my life. To all of us had this impact. Let's use that power. Let's use ourselves, knowing that we have to build for not simply now what we do today, but what we do tomorrow. And that was it. What we do when we get up at 4:30 in the morning and deliver our paper routes, deliver our papers, we're going to deliver the papers that are going to change and transform our country. I say our country, meaning our communities. I transform our communities, and that's it. We know that when we get up in the morning. And I'm here. Thank you for once again allowing me to be here in your presence. You know, it is a pleasing honor, a pleasing privilege to be here as we continue our noble battle. You know, I think about Langston Hughes, and I was thinking about, as he talks about the trumpet player. Anybody know the trumpet player? And my great brother, this beautiful spoken word artist. Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you so much. I can't go without acknowledging you. Because I heard the sounds of Langston Hughes as he talked about the trumpet player, and as he talks about the whips that blaze about his thighs. And he talks about that, the inspiration for that music, the inspiration, that hair patterned out of the now, that gleams like jet, with jet a crown. You know, I think about those words that have inspired us. Well, artists have an important and essential role to play in this. And your role certainly as exemplified by your extraordinary words that bring us together and know that we have that work to do. Because you're not an OG. You got some way to go. And we know that you're going to be out there with us and fighting on that line and encourage and build and continue to build as we move forward in this year and beyond this year. Because it's not about what this moment represents from what they see. It's what we create in response to that moment in building our world and stating, this is our narrative. This is the narrative that we stand on. These are the things that we feel important. These are the things that we're going to fight and struggle for. Thank you so much.
Don't leave. Dr. Daniels is going to make a very important appeal. This effort also needs our spiritual support, physical support, and our financial support. Dr. Daniels.
Let's give it up again for Danny Glover. Let's give it up for Danny Glover. And let's give it up again for the local host committee that has been responsible for this awesome turnout this evening. Brother Malcolm Suber even showed up out here. Is Malcolm still here? He showed up. He finally showed up. One of them OGs. There he is, Malcolm Suber. Right? I also want to quickly say that brother, y'all know Ntangaleezi Sanyika, y'all know him? Well, he's going to be 75 years old this weekend, and even though he couldn't be here, let's give him some love anyhow, brother Ntangaleezi Sanyika. I also want to say thanks to the person who introduced Danny Glover, Helena Francis, because she's going to be one of the panelists on this coming. Get quiet, now don't move. Y'all get to moving at the wrong time. Everybody get quiet, because we need some help. We need some help. Back in the day, it used to be said that freedom is not free. You used to say that in the old days, right? Shh. And tell no lies, claim no. Shh. Y'all get the movement. See, even now, that's what happens. So you can speak, and everybody leave. Not everybody. But this is serious. It's like Dr. Julianne Malveaux said, we shouldn't have to worry about the time. Not really. Because the time is that we need to spend some protracted time dealing with our liberation like we did back in the day. It cannot be done really on a quickie, you know, and it can't just be done on Facebook. Sometimes we need to face a book. So I'm asking you to just be patient. We're almost done. We're almost done. Let me just also apologize that Samaya Nkrumah is not here. We actually don't know why she's not here. We actually went to the airport last night to pick her up, and we're trying to find out what happened and whatever. But I'm just in the instance of transparency. We promised that she was come. Everything was set for her to come. We actually looked for her last night. We thought her flight was landing, so I just wanted to say that up front. But tell no lies, claim no easy victories. This is a guts and faith effort. That's why we're so thankful for everybody who pitched in. We couldn't do this. We go from city to... One of the weaknesses of the reparations movement is it does not have the money to do it the way we ought to do it. We have no staff for this. There are no foundations. There are no corporations funding this. We did a hearing in Atlanta like this, and we were able to raise the resources to cover the bills. We ought to be able to do more than that, actually. But we have this celebration tonight, which is a beautiful, has it been a beautiful program? Has it been a beautiful program? Right? This program is designed, it's a benefit fundraiser. Now we said if you couldn't pay, it's free. There was no charge, food and everything. We had a great time. But we also said we were going to take an appeal because we have to raise some money. And I'm delighted to say if you look at your program, you'll see the people who already stepped up in advance. Look at your program and you'll see the people who stepped up. That hashtag reparations now donors, all of these people, before they even got here, made contributions. And we thank all of them for their contributions. Now, we had one brother who's not here tonight because he had to go to another program. Brother Nkali Mwenda. Is that the correct pronunciation? When we had the first meeting, this brother got up, and I didn't want to ask for no. We just had the first meeting. He said, Ryan Daniels, how are you going to come here, tell us how much about this program, and then you don't ask for no money? This brother dropped $1,500 on the table that night. $1,500. And so we're going to start this slow, because I asked who could match that. And tonight, an anonymous donor who does not want to be recognized gave me a check for $1,000. This is a $1,000 check, all right? Now, we're going to walk this slow, and y'all be patient. Because somebody out there may also have another $1,000 that they're willing to give. So I got to ask, is there anybody in this audience tonight who will give or pledge and back it up? So we $1,000. Danny Glover gives $1,000. I mean, this is the man who came. I mean, all right, we have. If you take a credit card. We'll take a credit card. Give him a round of applause. All right. Did I say $1,000? See, you have not because you asked not. See, what we do at gatherings, we just sort of pass the plate and everybody do $10. You have to ask for money. And I'm so humbled. Is there another $1,000 in the house? Got to go one more time. Right. Any more for $1,000? Going once. Going twice. All right. Is there anybody in the house who can give? And let me just say this. None of the commissioners, none of them get honorariums. They have all paid their own flights here. But we say, if you can get here, we'll at least put you up in the hotel and give you a meal. So we got a hotel bill that's going to be about $5,000, which is not excessive, and that's not too much to ask. You know, I'm giving you what the costs are. You know, so we have expenses like that we have to deal with. Not that we're paying anybody, not that they're even charging anybody. So I'm just letting you know in the interest of transparency. And by the way, we're also going to report back to you how much we raised tonight. Because Brother M. Tamisi St. Julian is the exchequer. He's going to count the money and going to let everybody know on the radio how much was collected, all right? So we're not getting out of Dodge with the dough. $500. Anybody in the house can do, we have, she comes a visitor, $500, $500. All right, okay. All right, and we have somebody who made a donation here, $500. And this, what's the name? Oh, he just, okay, just, okay. All right, but $500. This is another $500, right? Anybody else for $500? 500, 500, 500. We're going to get to everybody's level. There's a 500 right there, $500 right there. All right, y'all get to the brother, get to him with them baskets now. Don't come to him. All right, don't be. Anybody else for 500? We're going 500, 500 to 500, 500. Anybody else for 500? $500, $500. Come on, we got some more 500. There are some more. Somebody is eager, sort of toddling, but you got 500. We got two more 500s that are eager to jump out of your pocket. Can we get two more 500s? Anyway, two more 500s. All right, we're gonna drop it down. I know everybody gonna raise the roof on this one. Y'all get them baskets ready. How many people in the house will give $100? How many $100 bills can we get? All right, y'all go to the people. There's 100 there. There's 100 there. There's 100 there. Any more $100? Come on, we gotta get a lot of $100 bills. $100. 100. There's 100 there. 100 there. 100 there. 100 back in the corner there. Any $100 over there. Somebody, sit that brother with that beautiful shirt on right there, sitting there. Hustle over there and get that $100. $100 over there, please. $100. Oh, and even the photographer on the floor sitting there with $100. Oh, how beautiful is that? $100, $100, $100. $100. Here's one of the commissioners coming with $100. $100, $100, $100, $100. All right, $100, $100, $100. And by the way, we there's a 200. Now she didn't travel all the way from. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, no, we'll take it. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, we want it. I'm just saying that this shows the commitment that you come all the way from France and you give her $200. Let's give her another round of applause. Right? Oh, by the way, that's a good point. Checks. We take checks. Checks should be made out to Institute of the Black World, and just put reparations on the foreline. Reparations on the foreline. Now, I also understand, Brother M. Tamisi, that we have a tablet set up so people who want to can also sort of go to a table or something. Is that right? And also go to the website and make contributions by credit card. Is that right? Where is that correct, brother?
We don't have the tablet here, but I'm giving you the IDW site. We're working on the site right now.
All right, so you'll be able to go to the site. If you be patient, you can go with your credit card, and you'll be able to make a contribution then too. Any more hundreds? Any more hundreds? Because we're almost done. We're almost there. Oh, there's another. She's waving the $100. Y'all see, right there. The lady's waving $100 right there.
Can you ask them to put it? Ryan, can you ask them to put it in their envelope to write their names?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, put it in an envelope and write your name on it too. I think I saw $100 right there. I thought. The lady said she's getting ready to quit. If y'all can't see, you can't see green. We in real trouble. Y'all colorblind? No, I'm just being kidding. All right, brother, hold on, brother. Here's making a donation.
Anybody that wants to buy this book, all proceeds go to the movement tonight. So anybody wants to buy a book of mine?
All right, okay. So we'll have him set up after. Yes.
Someone snuck $100 in here. I'd like her to. Can you put your name on here?
Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
You know, I often, people talk about how generous I am when I give photographs, take photographs on the planes and everything else. I'm going to, let's see if we can raise some money just taking a photograph with me. You can bring up the family. What do we want to charge?
$50 a family.
No, $50. Who don't want to take photographs? There's a way of you can. I mean, you have a photograph. I mean, you may want to trash it. You wouldn't want to remember you got a photograph of me and you. So come on, let's do that too. I'm sitting here. I'm all week. We about raising some money here. All right then.
So after we will do that. Okay, we were at $50. We have $50. Okay, we're gonna drop it down. 25. Who want to do 25? $25. Who can do $25? All the $25. Raise your hand so people can see. You have an envelope. Fill out the envelope. Even if you give cash, fill out the envelope so we know how to get back to you. Fill out the envelope. And again, if you do checks, checks are made to Institute of the Black World and put reparations on the 4 line. Now, we're also going to pass the baskets around. Anybody who wants to give any amount, $5, $10, $1, whatever it is, we're going to pass the baskets around. Let's do it quickly. Shh. We're gonna close with a Harambe, so everybody just hang in there. We're gonna be organized as we leave. Okay? This is really wonderful. We thank you so much. Now we're gonna pass the basket. Anybody who has anything that they want to give, $1, they want to give $5, whatever. We're gonna pass the basket around for that. But let's be in order because we also have some concluding words that are coming. We got some concluding words. And let's give it up again, another round of applause for SUNO and this faculty and all they've done. This magnificent gathering. Brother Clyde, I called him Dr. Clyde. I told him I want to go up and be just like him. He said, I know, he told me, he said, I know how to do this, brother. You want something, you want it done, come here. I'll do it. Well, he did it. Let's give him another round of applause. We can't thank you enough. We can't thank the faculty and staff enough. We can't thank all of you who came out enough for this magnificent gathering, this family gathering that we've had this evening. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to our MC. Shh, we're just about done. We're just about done. So, and we're going to have a chance to mix and mingle and network. We're going to turn it back over to Brother O.T.
And let the church say, Amen. Amen and amen. Hey, no doubt or doubt it. Let's give all of our participants a hand. Absolutely. Reparations when? Now, Dr. Robinson, for closing remarks. We're going to make a request right now. My general manager is here. We want to get Dr. Malveaux on the Good Morning Show. Chuck is going to loan me the Chuck wagon so I can have more room because I just look foolish. I will not make the same mistake twice. We do our job to get you up. Chuck, make sure you're conscious. Dr. Brenda Jackson is the Vice Chancellor for Research and Strategic Initiatives for our closing. And then we're going to have book signing with Dr. Malveaux. So don't leave, guys. Okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to do Harambe after this. God bless y'all. Love y'all much.
Good evening, my brothers and sisters. And I do see some of my sons and daughters in the house. On behalf of the Center for African and African American Studies, Title III programs, and overall Southern University at New Orleans, we thank you so very, very much for being here. I'm so humbled and honored to have you in our presence. I would like to pay special thank you to the New Orleans Core Host Committee. If you're here, stand, wave your hand. Sponsors, Ashe Cultural Center, Xavier University, and Southern University at New Orleans. Reparations Now donors, all of you are here. The principal media partner, it's got to be Oliver Thomas. Media friends, Vincent Sylvan, Harold Clark, Chuck Perkins, I saw some Chuck Perkins here, W.C. Johnson. Thank you all so very much, and a very special thank you to our special guests, including the Honorable, I'm gonna call him Honorable, Danny Glover. So, again, we thank you. We hope that you had an enjoyable evening with us. We welcome you back anytime. And yes, we are Southern University at New Orleans.
we're getting ready to close out. I just want to acknowledge another one of our commissioners has arrived. He's a bad brother. He's a Haitian brother. He's one of them warriors that Danny Glover and others was talking about. They defeated the French, and they ain't looked back since. They need their reparations too, because France messed over them, right? He's all the way from Chicago. Judge Lionel Baptiste is in the house. All right. What we're going to do is ask everybody to stand. We're going to close together, because this has been great, right? Reparations what? Reparations what? All right, we're going to do this. This has been a wonderful, wonderful gathering. It's inspiring. It's encouraging. And so we're going to close with Harambe. Those of you who do Kwanzaa know what it's all about. We on the count of seven. On the count of 1, 2, 3, we do Harambe 7 times. And then you try to hold it as long as I hold it. As an OG, right? But that's that unity, as we all pull together. We're going to let them hear it all over the place. So on 1, 2, 3, Harambe, 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 Harambe. And we'll see everybody at Xavier on Saturday.